Godzilla fans, myself included, are really excited for the upcoming legendary version of Godzilla vs. King Kong. However, amongst all of that excitement, there is one huge glaring problem with this matchup. Kong is just way too small to face off against Godzilla. Legendary's Godzilla towers above Kong of Skull Island, standing at almost 4 times his height. One major piece of information that can make all of the difference here is time. Kong has lots of time, and he is still growing. When we first encounter Kong on Skull Island in 1973, he stands at around 100 feet tall. This is huge for a Kong, but small when compared to Godzilla. Even when Kong entered the Toho universe in the Showa era, he was only 20 meters or about 65 feet tall in King Kong Escapes, and 45 meters or about 150 feet tall when he faced off with Godzilla. It's been confirmed by the director of Kong Skull Island that Kong is still growing, and this is evident in the comic book series follow-up to Kong Skull Island. Titled Skull Island: The Birth of Kong, we not only find the backstory and origins of King Kong here, but we also learn of a second trip to Skull Island in 1995. The important pieces of information that we get here are about the growth of Kong. First off, Aaron Brooks, the son of Houston Brooks of Monarch from the first Kong movie, is secretly leading a team back onto the island. He states in the comic that Kong here was the size of an aircraft hangar. Now, hangars can be up to 200 feet high, but they vary, so that doesn't give us much, but I would note that because Aaron works with Monarch in 1995, I'm betting that he's talking about the larger military or airport type hangars that would fall into this 200-foot height range. However, we see even stronger evidence of Kong's growth in this shot comparison between the comic book and Skull Island. These pictures are 19 years apart, so we should easily see some size difference here. Brie Larson, or Mason Weaver in the film, has a hand that is most likely smaller than Aaron's, yet still, when taking that into account and trying to see how many of Aaron's hands can fit onto the upper lip of Kong, it looks to me that Kong is at least twice the size that he was in 1973. Now, I know this would still make him shorter than the 360-foot tall Godzilla, but we still have growing time. If Kong grew twice the size from 1973 to 1995, then let's do some math. If Kong doubled in size in 22 years, let's take a look at when King Kong vs. Godzilla is supposed to happen. At the time of this video, that film is slated for 2020, so that's another 25 years from 1995 to 2020. More than enough time for Kong to double in size yet again, if that's how his growth rate is in the legendary universe. This could put Kong at about 400 to 450 feet tall. Allowing for some planned growth area, this allows us to easily have a King Kong vs. Godzilla matchup with both monsters seen somewhat eye to eye, or even a battle where Kong is the taller of the two. So do you guys think Kong will be the same size as Godzilla by the time of the big fight in 2020? Will Kong be smaller, or maybe even bigger? Kong is much weaker than Godzilla and doesn't really have the same powers, so maybe he'll be larger to try to compensate. It's also possible that the two monsters will only fight in their first meeting, and then later on in the movie, they'll team up against a greater threat like King Ghidorah or Destoroyah. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the size of King Kong and how you think this meetup of these two epic kaiju will go. Thanks again for all of your comments, likes, shares, and subscriptions. Take care everybody, and I hope to see you next time.